Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be having a look at my smaller collections of miscellaneous vintage paperbacks, but predominantly from American publishers. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so these books are ones where I've got a few in my collection, but I haven't got like huge runs of them, so they don't warrant their own sort of video dedicated to it. These are just ones that I've got like little runs of, and well, I just wanted to get them out because it's been, well, a few years since I've actually shown some of these books on the channel, and there's some real good ones in here, some real rarities, and just some beautiful covers as well. So in actual fact, we'll start off with this one, which is the only Avon Giant I've ever had. It's Avon Giant number 1000, and it may have been actually the first one. I picked this one up at the London Paperback show. It was only a couple of pound, and I thought, well, that's a really good price, and it does include an Agatha Christie short story, so that was one of the reasons why I got it. It is a little bit the worse for wear, and I am tempted to sort of take the cover off and re-glue that, so I may get round to it. But these are books that were published by Avon, so that's the first publisher we're looking at here, and these are quite early. Tawny here. I mean, this is it's got to be, I think, 1940s, I would imagine. 19 Actually, that's actually 1952, so that's much later than I thought, but a bit of a classic cover, that one. Here's a Christie, Holiday for Murder. Obviously, a lot of them were renamed when they got published in America. I remember picking that one up, actually. I was visiting Chartwell, which was Churchill's home, and they had, it's like National Trust now, and they had a bookshop, as a lot of these places do, and it was in there. This is one I got from the States last year, another very, very thin Avon. Look at it. Hardly a book at all. It's 130 pages. It's the movie Tying to Gunfight at the OK Corral. Really, really nice condition one, that. It came with a little batch of real high-grade American titles that I picked up, and yeah, that's really nice. In actual fact, that should be with a separate collection which I've got, which has got movie and TV tie-ins, but it's ended up with my Avons for now, at least. My all-time favourite George Orwell, which is Down and Out in Paris and London. I particularly like that one, and it's quite funny that this cover has been done where they've got the woman sort of looking over her shoulder, looking back at the guy, like giving it a second glance. Not sure what that has to do at all with the actual story. I think nothing. But even so, it's one of my favourite books of all time, so that's why I've got the American first of it. This is just another slightly later Avon now, but it's a Frank Herbert, and it was just a beautiful copy. I didn't want to turn it down when I got offered a few really nice American ones. I'm still with Avon now. This one I've had a couple of copies through my hands. Second Foundation, just a really nice early science fiction book. Yeah, just lovely. Fair bit of science fiction in here of the classic variety. Now, this is slightly later. This is Chester Himes. Now, you've probably come across Chester Himes before. This is a paperback original. So these were all PBOs when they first got released. And yeah, the real cool killers. I've had these for a couple of decades at least, and they're really nice. I've got a few Chester Himes, which we'll see today. And yeah, great author. Here's another one by him, The Crazy Kill. Avon originals, as I said, yeah. PBOs, paperback originals. These are all still Avon. Another classic, Reformatory Girls. And a lot of these I sort of picked up when I didn't really know a lot about books, but these were sort of the titles that people were sought after. So when they came across my way, even though I wasn't really collecting these American ones, I sort of picked them up. This is Mute Witness. So this is by Robert L. Pike. This was the original American first printing of the book that became the movie Bullet with Steve McQueen. But this is the original. It's not in the greatest of shape, but it's pretty rare, this one. So yeah, pleased to have that one. I'm amazed I had actually so many Avons. Here's another one here, another Chester Himes, A Rage in Harlem. Very nice photograph cover on that one, slightly later. So I've tried to put these in date order as well within the publisher. Another odd Avon. This is actually a little bit later, so I've only sort of gone up to the late 60s. There may be one or two that from the 1970s early, but I've tried to cut it off at that point. So we are looking at more vintage paperbacks. The second Avon Fantasy Reader. Was the Avon Fantasy Reader was a digest series, actually surprisingly plentiful. So I might try and put a run of those together. They got fantastic covers, and this is an anthology with some of the best from that particular digest. Now we're on to award books. That was all Avon, believe it or not. A couple of award books here. Not sure how these came my way. Nick Carter, Saigon, and another one here, A Bullet for Fidel. They're just brilliant. They're just a lot of fun. They're very much of their time, aren't they, these ones? And, you know, I mean, I know there's loads and loads of them, but yeah, just fun to have those. Now we move on to my Bantams. So this is, I actually thought I had a better copy of this one. This is Hiroshima by John Hershey. An absolutely superb book if you've never read this one. It's the sort of book you will get through in one sitting because it's that riveting. Hershey went into Hiroshima pretty much as soon as it was safe to do so after the bomb went off, and recorded survivors' stories. And there's 4 or 5 different survivors. It's a very famous Penguin book because it was published within a short amount of time. Worth tracking down. Another absolutely iconic vintage Bantam paperback, The Martian Chronicles, Ray Bradbury. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? I mean, it's just knockout. I absolutely love it. I really, really do. This is the first of The Martian Chronicles. This was May 1951, the first paperback edition, of course. Beautiful, isn't it? Oh, so nice. A little SF anthology, more Adventures in Time and Space. We'll see a bit of those. Another absolute classic, Forbidden Planet. This is another movie tie-in. Superb, there we are. A little still on the back as well. Just doesn't get much better than this, does it? And I'm really looking forward to getting some of these out on display. I'm going to get some sort of custom cases made and get some of these out because they deserve it. They really do deserve it. They're brilliant. Day of Infamy. This was the Pearl Harbor story by Walter Lord. I don't mind a bit of military history. I haven't got a lot of it in vintage paperback though. Another slightly later, Ray Bradbury, author I really do enjoy, particularly the short stories. Fantastic. You are seeing double here. So we got Escape from Colditz. So I'm a big Colditz collector, and this was the original Colditz story. That was the first printing, which is absolutely fantastic jacket. And I have also got the movie tie-in because they did the Colditz story was filmed. So we got two. I think the originals are just absolutely knockout. Do love a bit of Colditz. These are on Berkeley now. So that was Bantam. We're on to Berkeley books. Only a Woman. The Shocking Ecstasy of Forbidden Love. Too good to turn down, really, wasn't it? Another copy. This is the Berkeley copy, slightly Berkeley medallion, so slightly later than the Avon one of Down and Out in Paris and London. I said one of my favourite novels, a bit like Day of the Triffids. So if it's an edition that I've not got, I generally pick it up. Another SF anthology here. This one was distributed in the UK. It's got a 3 and 6 sticker over there. Beyond. As is this one. So these were published in the UK by Pan. This is the American printing at Kingsley Amis. Edited that anthology. Another Berkeley. This is the first paperback of To Your Scattered Bodies Go. I've taken out the majority of my Jose Farman because there's a hell of a lot of it, and I'm going to do a separate video on it. The ones pre-1970, mainly, that aren't part of like my Dell series, for example, or Ballantine, will be in here. So there'll be a few more Jose Farman, but I think that edition is just, I love it. Absolutely love that particular one. This is another one. Best left said nothing really on this one. Beeline. It's light sleeves, you could say. Strange Desire. Brandon. I think I've heard of Brandon and Brandon House. Once again, one of those ones slightly risque. Too good to leave behind. This is the first paperback of Ian Fleming. We've got a few Ian Flemings to look at today. This is The Diamond Star, which is once again an absolutely fantastic read. He based a lot of his research on this for Diamonds Are Forever. And this is by little known Collier books. It's little known in paperback. I think more known for their hardbacks. And yeah, a bit of an unusual one. That's true crime. I suppose it does look at diamond trade across the world. Another odd one. I thought for a long time this was a Belmont Tower, but it's a Corinth suspense novel. I just got it for the great cover more than anything. I mean, just terrific, that one. Dr. Death by Zorro, in fact. John Christopher, The Long Winter. This is a slightly later Crest one that came my way, and too good to turn down. I don't mind John Christopher. This is Epic Books now, so Airborne Passions. Once again, playing up on the slightly risque thing that was happening in America at this time with all their sort of paperbacks, really. I'll try and pop that there so we got a little bit more spine action. Similar to this one as well, Sins of Cheryl. I picked this one up as a bit of a joke, really, and I always... I had a friend called Cheryl, which we're still friends, Fitz Publications, and I remember finding it. I was looking through some books on vintage paperbacks, and this one turned up, and I sent it to her, and then a copy actually came my way. It was too good to turn down, really. This is a great one. I got this at the London Paperback Show. France books, never heard of these. I guess to tie in with the Cleopatra movie, Cleopatra's blonde sex rival, and certainly pushing the sleaze side of it there. Very, very unusual, probably quite scarce. Too good to leave behind, really, wouldn't it? Now we go on to my run of gold medal, and I have got a few of these, and I've left behind the 70s ones, but these are my sort of 60s ones here, and they're various authors. I just love gold medal, and if I was in the States, I would be collecting them, and that's as simple as that. To Kiss or Kill, loads of paperback originals are included in there. I think it's just a great publisher all round. So I pick up what I can when I see them, which isn't that often. I've only got a little run of John Faulkner here. This is a gold medal UK. So this one's actually in the wrong spot because I've got my UK one somewhere else. But yeah, The Man Who Fell to Earth. It's got the original gold key, gold medal cover rather, not gold key, gold medal cover, which is nice. The skeletons on the front. Monster from Earth's End, Murray Leinster. Really quite a common one, that, as I recall. There was a few copies of those around. 4 from Planet 5, Murray Leinster. Had this one for ages. It's a movie tie-in. Look, Clark Gable and Sophia Loren on the front there. It started in Naples. Nice copy. Never seen the film. Uncle Good's Weekend Party. Another one by John Faulkner. I don't know how I've ended up with so many by him, to be honest. This one I got last year. This is The Beats. It's a real classic. Real influential, and a really beautiful copy as well. I was lucky to get that little find. And then another anthology, 13 Great Stories of Science Fiction. And I think this is the last gold medal, which is a 60s copy of Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham, which, as I said, it is my favourite book. So I've got as many copies and different variations of that as I can find. Right, let me make a bit more room. Okay, so a Crest book. This is a Crest Giant. Quite nice, the spiked heel. Oh, actually back to another gold medal here, so that one was slightly out of order. 13 French Street. This is a reissue of this one, but it's such a classic book, and this was in such terrific condition that I just couldn't turn it down. It's gorgeous. Really, really nice. Great book as well. So these are tail end gold medals. Drumbeat Marianne, Stephen Marlowe. Don't know much about that one. Another John Christopher, The Long Winter. Excellent. And another one, Let's Stow Away to Mars, John Wyndham. That is definitely my last gold medal. Okay, Fawcett gold medal. Right, now we are on to Imperial. What goes on in the 5 continental sin spots? Wouldn't we like to know? Europe's dens of vice. Nice condition there. Look at this cozy book, Reaped Loves. Cozy up with cozy books. Now there's over 100 of these. I'm glad just to have the one. They're just hilarious, really. I think these were the guys, who did Naked on Roller Skates, which I'm still looking for. One of the best titles out there. Lancer. This is a Lancer double. So it's got 2 books in one, and it's got a Harry Whittington, Backward Shack. Yeah, so just two books in there. It turns up, this one, you do see it around, but I say it was distributed in the UK. This is one I picked up in my British travels, but it's a nice copy all the same. Very pleased with that. Office Wife. Oh, it looks like there was a torrid sex triangle going on there, by the look of it. Jerry Wiles. Another Wyndham. The Secret People. And we will see a few US Wyndhams in here today. So he's one of my favourite authors. Human, Judith Merrill. That's just great. And this is Lion. What a great title that is. With introduction by Frederick Brown. So this is another anthology. Yeah. Awesome. Bit of a loose page there, but 1954. Pass the Ammunition. Navy action in World War II. This is McFadden. Odd military one there. Rebel to Judgment. Another great jacket there. Very, very nice. If anything, even if you don't like the titles, the artwork's got to impress, I would think. Look at that. Look at that. The Hairstylist Nightmare, isn't it? A Hopwood Award novel, but it's McFadden again. Blimey. Savage Delinquents, Alan Bennett. High Voltage Violence and Vice in the Teenage Underworld. Still McFadden. Hong Kong After Dark. William Fitzpatrick. The Sin Capital of the East. I'll hastily move on. Midwood. Now, Midwood are known for their sleeves, in actual fact, and I have got quite a run of Beacon books. Now, those are separate because I've got the Beacon science fiction, so look out for those in a future video because I've now got the full run of those. But I've got a couple of odd Midwood books, and they are highly collectible, so I always pick them up. So if you ever see any Midwood, they're worth grabbing. But they're all, pretty much like light sleeves, I think is probably the best way to sort of describe them. Don't often see them over here, but if you do, worth grabbing. There we are. Right, moving on. Monarch books now. The World Grabbers. Paul Fairman. Once again, that was distributed in the UK by the look of it. Jacqueline Kennedy. Very, very popular in her day, of course. Wife of JFK. And there was a few books published on Jacqueline Kennedy. She really was quite the sex symbol. And Monarch books here. First American into Space by Robert Silverberg. Very, very cool. The space race is detailed in that one. Now we're into Perma books, which Perma and Pocket were quite closely tied. We've got the Perma books first in the alphabet, and this is one of their giant ones. Perma P203, Music Out of Dixie. Quite an interesting title. Now we've got a run of Ed McBain's. So the original Ed McBain's were published by Perma, and then they went into Pocketbooks, which is quite a common thing. This is the very, very first 87th Precinct title, and I think it's an absolute masterpiece. I love it to death. And that's the first ever 87th Precinct paperback by Ed McBain. And I've got the next few. Haven't got them all, but I've got a fair few. This is Ian Fleming. This is Too Hot to Handle, which was the original American title for Live and Let Die. Beautiful copy of that one. Very, very nice. Quite a collectible book. Both of those are expensive books. Some more Ed McBain's now. Killer's Choice. So these are in date order. Got a bit of a crease along the front there, but I don't mind that. I haven't got them all. I'm missing The Pusher. That's what I'm after. This is a nice little anthology. I got this one off eBay UK. Actually, it was a copy in the UK. It was a tenner. But the best from Manhunt, one of the the Manhunt magazine, the digest. There are more modern compilations of Manhunt stories nowadays, published by Starkhouse Press, and I highly recommend those. There he is. In fact, the Avon Hunter ones, who was Ed McBain, of course, are the best. They are brilliant. Killer's Payoff, another 87th Precinct. Till Death, proudly saying 87th Precinct on the front now. But these are all still published by Perma as opposed to Pocket. And King's Ransom. Hollywood Playgirls. A Pillow Book, original, number 1011. Sex Marathon, Jack Vast. And now we are on to Pocketbooks, and this is my earliest one, which is Beau Jest by P.C. Wren, the famous one by him. And now a little run of my original Agatha Christie Pocket books. This is my earliest one, number 79. This is from 1940. These are all first printings. They're very, very collectible in their own right. And I was lucky to just be in the right place at the right time. There we are, September 1940, when a little run of these sort of came my way. And they are absolutely beautiful. I'll leave them there while we have a look through. So a little run of these, the ABC Murders. Number 88. Pocket 246. This is Jonathan Latimer, another great author. He wrote about 4 books. I haven't read this one, but I read a couple by him, and they were really good. I think they should be reprinted. But I did contact the Hard Case Crime editor, and he said they looked at it and decided against it. So there you go. Patriotic Murders, because they've got different titles, haven't they, in the States? This is another key book. It's missing the laminate. So these books at the time had a lamination on them, and this one hasn't got it. It's been peeled off, but it is still absolutely iconic for the first American paperback of the Maltese Falcon. Very, very beautiful book, that one. Easy to Kill, which is Murder is Easy, of course. Yet another copy of Body in the Library. It's certainly one of my favourite Christies, that one. I like any edition of it, in actual fact. Towards Zero. Good stuff. The Hollow. Slightly later now, but still nice additions in my Christie collection. And another one of my absolute favourites in Pocket by her, Death Comes as the End. What a great, great jacket that is. Beautiful, eh? Right, another odd Pocket one there. Slightly later one there, the Pocketbook of Old Masters. Just like a non-fiction one. So once again, a bit too good to turn down, that, wasn't it? Sands of Mars is slightly later. We've got a few science fiction now. And once again, beautiful jackets like that. They're just gorgeous, even if I got the book 20 times. When you see a jacket like that, it's too good to leave behind. Another great one there, The Invisible Man, a real favourite of mine. That and The Time Machine are my 2 favourites of his, more so than War of the Worlds. Another Ed McBain, but he's moved from Perma to Pocket now. So The Heckler, Death of a Nurse, Lady, I Did It, and Axe. Good stuff there. Then we got Popular Library, another very interesting American publisher. You hardly ever see these over here, but they publish some absolute bangers. And well, this is a particularly sought after book in actual fact, and it's got a couple of highlights. And well, we'll leave it at that, really. Yeah, highly collectible, that one. Along with this one, I haven't got the best copies, but it's so rare. I forget who the cover artist is. It's there actually. It's Earl Burgee is the artist. It's just a collectible book, and one that, in a serious vintage paperback collection, you ought to have a copy of that one. So that's why that's there. Now one of my all-time favourite vintage paperbacks across the board. Just look at that jacket. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's a nice copy of that. I've had it a long time, and it's a beauty, an absolute beautiful, beautiful book. That's all you need to say about that. Jailbait. So that's my little run of Popular Library. Not many, but I think you'll agree. What a collection. Just amazing. Midwood. So this one, I think, is slightly out of order, but there's yet another Midwood. Your Sins and Mine. More sleeves. So this is the most expensive book, value-wise, we'll see today. This is Popular Library. So yeah, it was slightly out of position. It should have been in there. But this was, this is the first American printing of Casino Royale. They titled it You Asked For It. Famous on the back for calling James Bond Jimmy Bond in the blurb. Fleming must have been delighted at that, I'm sure. But yeah, it's an expensive and rare book, that one. This one's not in the best of shape. It's sort of VG, but still a few £100, that one. Lady Sings the Blues, Billie Holiday, a movie tie-in. This is a Pyramid we're on to now. Nice little look at Al Capone there. Nice jacket. I don't collect much true crime. It's not an area that interests me, but that was a great jacket. Space Prison. I've had this one for years. Tom Godwin. Just classic 60s action there. Fighting Generals. Another wartime pyramid. And The Tomorrow People. Science fiction novel by Judith Merrill. They're great, aren't they? Really, really nice. Nita's Place, another one by Harry Whittington, a great collectible author, and I always pick him up when I see him because the actual books themselves are pretty darn decent. Fighting Eagles. This is the first book in the Stainless Steel Rat series. I have got the whole lot now in American first. I pulled this one because it is part of my very vintage American paperbacks, but there's a Harry Harrison video on the way. Once I've got the last couple I need in American first, I shall do a dedicated video. Here's another odd one, War with the Robots. It's not Stainless Steel Rat. But as I said, most of them are actually kept separately in a Harry Harrison section. Onto a run of Signet books now. So My Life in Crime. Signet had some great jackets, didn't they? Some great authors and jackets. This is another one which really ought to be in the TV and movie tie-in section. It's the Time Tunnel book. Murray Leinster. Had the famous TV show of the same name. Tongues of the Moon. Oh, another early-ish one by Jose Farmer. As is this one. It's quite a scarce one by Regency. Fire and the Night. Beautiful copy. I found a dealer who had a little stack of about 6, and they were all mint and red. So he was knocking them out cheap. Yeah, 1962. I got that for $15, which I believe is actually a pretty good price for that one. Because it's absolute beauty, you know. The Teacher. Don't know what's going on there. Another one of those sleazy ones. Now, I've got a couple of these. These are the American Services editions, Armed Services editions. There's a few collectible ones. There's like one on, there's a Tarzan one, Tarzan Return of Tarzan. There's Superman one, which I'd like to get. But on the whole, there's only a handful that are really worth tracking down. They were oblong format, so designed to slip into a GI's trouser leg pocket, really, and they could carry it with them. These are a couple of old ones that turned up over here, probably brought over by the Americans prior to D-Day. They are what they are. They're examples. They're not particularly rare. They're not particularly collectible, except the few odd ones that I mentioned. So, yeah, interesting all the same. I wouldn't want to collect these, but if I see them, they're dirt cheap, I will pick them up. But I've only got a couple at the moment in my collection. Now, the last little batch we've got here, the tailing off the end of the Signets, was the Signet edition of 1984. A bit of a classic cover, this one. Once again, the woman just looking back over her shoulder. It was a bit of a trend around the time that these books were published. So really, really good. Didn't want to turn that one away. The Devils in Baggy Pants. Looks like Robert Mitchum, doesn't it, on the front jacket there. This is a J.D. Salinger, 9 stories. This is my worst condition one, but I've had it since I was a kid. It's the American Signet for Currents of Space by Asimov. Once again, he's hammered. Until a better one comes my way, this is staying with me to the grave, that particular book. General Billy Mitchell. This is another military history one. Now we're on to a few juicy Signets. So these are all firsts from Russia with Love, part of my James Bond Fleming collection. The Day After Tomorrow, Robert Heinlein. Got a few of his in American paperback first. There's another one, in fact, Revolting 2100. Other Side of the Sky, another Arthur C. Clarke. This is the American first for Goldfinger by Signet. Nice little jacket, that. And the American first and the last, Fleming for your eyes only. I said I've got some later ones, but they would be sort of, well, in the later videos. Rise and Fall of Nazi Germany. This is tail end of the 1960s. Absolutely classic title, that one in Signet. And this one, yet another book on Jackie Kennedy, there we are. The icon that she was. And the very last book we got is this one, which isn't from a publisher. It's privately printed by, I believe, the author. And it was a way to win at the casinos by someone who'd been banned by all the casinos in all of America. It's actually a fascinating book. I mean, it is just so that you can go and join his cult and become a good gambler, but it's just hilarious. And I've never seen another one. I've got to search for it. I've never ever seen one turn up ever. I think it's supremely rare, and I'd say it's a really entertaining read as well. I couldn't believe how good it was. A.B. Irwin. So yeah, there you go. So that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed looking through my smaller series of vintage American paperbacks. Certainly some absolute gems in there, and I always like to pick out a really good American vintage paperback, particularly if it's got an iconic cover like the Day of the Triffids, for example, or those James Bond ones. I just love them so much. If you've enjoyed today's little tour, do please give the video a thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage paperback content, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.